Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Yakima TimberLine Roof Rack with JetStream crossbars. We're going to see how it fits and how it installs on our 2025 Ford Bronco Sport. Now, when you're in your Bronco Sport, you got a few passengers with you, you're on your way to your next adventure, you can often find yourself in a situation where you just don't have room inside the vehicle for everybody's stuff, everybody's gear, or you may have some items that you either don't want riding in the vehicle with you, or they're just too big to go in there. In either of those cases, having a roof rack is going to be a very, very handy way to transport everything to your destination. A roof rack like this can take all sorts of accessories. There are rooftop cargo boxes and baskets. There are kayak carriers and water sport carriers. There are bike racks and even things like awnings that can go onto a roof rack like this and get to and from your next adventure. And in the case of this roof rack from Yakima, it's going to have a 165-pound weight capacity. However, you always want to double check your owner's manual and see what the vehicle rooftop capacity is. Whichever number is lower is the maximum weight that you're going to be able to carry. Now, the JetStream crossbar is an aero crossbar, meaning it's got an ovular shape. This is going to make it much more aerodynamic. It's going to have less vibration out on the road, and it's going to be a quieter ride for you when compared to your traditional square or round bars. It can take clamp-mounted accessories, or you can remove the end cap here, and once you do that, you'll have access to this T-track up at the top. It's got a weather stripping. You could just depress down on it, slide your T-track accessories over to where you want them, and replace the end cap as soon as you're done. It's going to be an overhanging crossbar, meaning that the crossbars are going to go out, extend out past the towers. And on this particular one, we've got 60-inch crossbars on it. So that's a lot of room up here. If you need to put items side by side, like maybe two kayaks, you can get one on this side and one on the passenger side. You even have room outside of the tower to clamp things on. Downside to it is it does extend out pretty far beyond this door threshold here. So you do want to be conscious of that getting in and out of the car. However, when you do get in and out of a car, you're generally doing it at an angle, not straight up and down like this. And it's a bit further back, closer to the seam in the door. Passengers, though, you might want to be careful as well. Or if you have anything overhanging here, I would say anybody like over 6 feet, you're going to want to be very conscious of that when getting in and out of the vehicle. But let's go up on the roof and take a look at how it fits up there. So while we're up here on the roof of the Bronco Sport, we're going to take a few measurements. First and foremost, we're going to check our crossbar spread. The crossbar spread is the distance between our crossbars, and the reason it's such an important measurement is that every rooftop accessory that would go on these crossbars has a minimum and a maximum crossbar spread that it'll work with. So if we measure from the middle of one bar or the front of the T-track to the same spot on the second bar, we're going to come up just a hair under 30 inches. And to me, that's a great measurement to be at because generally speaking, 25 to 35 inches is where you're going to find those minimum maximum spreads. So at 30 inches, I'm not too worried about coming across rooftop accessories that I won't be able to use with this setup. Now, with that being said, on these raised rails, we do have the freedom to move our crossbars kind of wherever we want. So I can move this bar back a little bit, but if I did that, I would probably want to move this bar back a little bit as well. I like that spot being at 30 inches. We're also going to double check and see what kind of height this is going to add to the vehicle. So from the middle of the roof here, we've got about 4¼ inches of extra height being added. And that does not come above our antenna that's back here in the back. When the antenna's in, it's actually higher than the crossbar. But because of the proximity of that, I might be a little bit concerned if I had a rooftop accessory specifically in the middle of the bars that went a bit further back. We're probably going to end up coming into contact with that. If that's the case, what I'll probably end up doing is unscrewing the antenna from there because the top of the shark fin does not come above the top of my crossbar. Therefore, anything that I put on top of here should be able to clear that without any issue. And if we're going to measure the space from the bottom of the bar to the roof, we're just under 3 inches at that point. That's more than enough room to have my clamp-mounted accessories reach around And because of this rise that we have in the roof here, we've got even more space under the front bar. But I had mentioned being able to move these around and maneuver them how you want to. Stick around. I'm going to show you in the installation exactly how that works. So we begin our installation with putting our towers onto our crossbar. And it's a pretty easy process. I'm going to grab one of my towers here, and what we'll find are two different bolts. This bolt here is going to loosen and tighten our strap that's going to go around the rails on our roof. The bolt that we see tucked back in there is going to tighten and loosen this T-slot block that we have at the top, and that's going to tighten our crossbar down onto our tower. So what I would suggest before putting this on is go ahead and grab the tool that Yakima provides, loosen up that strap a bit, loosen up that block at the top a little bit. Just make sure you get yourself a good amount of slack there. Just makes sliding it on the bar that much easier. But when you have that all set, just go to your crossbar. We've got it turned over on its back right now. And we're just going to lift that tab, remove our end cap, and then we're going to set this into our bar. And we're going to do that making sure these bolts face the outside of the bar. We're just going to slide that under and across. And once we get it on there, we can go ahead and replace our end cap, and we're ready to get it up on our roof. Now, when we're going to get this onto our roof, one of the things to make sure of is that the wider end of the crossbar is facing the front of the vehicle. The narrower end is going to be facing the rear of the vehicle. But we're just going to get it up and over the top. If I can maneuver it so that that strap goes underneath the rail just like that, that's that much better. I'm going to get that around over here on my driver's side. And now we've got it up on our rails. Okay. Now we'll talk about positioning of our bars. So one of the things that we want to make sure of is that our towers are directly across from one another. So I'm going to do this in a way that I want to create the best crossbar spread, and I also want to create it in a way that it's going to be accessible. So getting it to where it's going to be right in the second row door threshold makes it really easy to pop up here. If I'm right in between both of my bars, it's going to be really easy to manage my accessories and manage the cargo that's up there. So on my rear bar, I just made the bars go as far forward as I could before it hit this little support in the middle of our rail. I'm going to do the same thing up here. But let's say, for instance, that with this overhang, you're a little bit concerned about getting in and out of the car, depending on the accessory you have up there. You want to move this back a little bit. You're free to do so. You can put your bars anywhere you want to on these rails. But if you do that, if we're going to make sure that it's directly across from the other tower over there, I'm going to pick a spot and take a measurement. So I might take this seam right here and measure that distance. I want to make sure that that distance is the same over on the passenger side as it is right here on the driver's side. That way, if my towers are directly across from one another, that's going to guarantee that my bars are going to be parallel as well. But the way that I'm going to do it is I'm just going to make it so that this is moved as far forward up against this support as I can, and I'm going to make sure that it's the same way on the other side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that this tower is cradled really well around my rail. I'm going to reach under. This strap has a metal bar going across it, and there's a little couple of hooks here that it's just going to go up and just cradle into those hooks just like that. Now, I'm going to take my measuring tape and I'm going to measure my overhang. I want to make sure that I have the same amount of overhang over here on my driver's side as I do on my passenger side. So we'll go ahead and take that measurement. We'll double check where it's at on the other side. And before we tighten that bolt down, we're free to move this bar back and forth and make any adjustments. Now, as you're shifting the bar back and forth, you might end up kind of moving your towers off of the rail. So it could take some patience and some adjustment, but we've got both sides of the bar, both towers are cradled really nicely around the rail here. We've got our overhang even on both sides. So what I'm going to do now is before I tighten this strap down, I'm going to go ahead and tighten the bar into place. That'll keep it from maneuvering around on us. And we can move on. Once the bar is set, we can move on to tightening our strap around the rail. Now, this tool that they provide you from Yakima is a torquing tool. So my advice would be tighten down incrementally, this side a few turns, the other side a few turns, and just go back and forth. I've just found that over-tightening one side before the other can often knock things out of whack. So if you do it incrementally, it works out a bit better. But once you get it tight enough, what you're going to hear is this loud pop, just like that comes out of the tool. That indicates that we've got it tightened down enough, and we can move on to tightening down our straps. Tightening down our straps is going to occur through this bolt right here. So we're just going to make sure that we've got our straps seated correctly, and I'm going to tighten these down the same way. I'm going to give it, 5 or 6 turns over on this side, and then I'm going to move to the passenger side, just work my way back and forth until I get them tightened down, all the while checking to make sure that nothing gets shifted or anything while we're tightening. And we're going to keep turning until we get that same popping sound out of this bolt as we did the crossbar bolt. There we go. And at this point, we could put on our tower covers. Now, before I do, one thing I want to say is that out of the box, you're going to get these plastic lock cores. They're not really going to be, all that great at preventing theft. There are metal lock cores available with keys through Yakima's SKS system. That means same key system. And what that also means is that you can request locks that are key-alike to other Yakima accessories you have. So for instance, if you've got a rooftop box from Yakima and that's got a specific key with a number on it, you can get it key-alike to the locks that you put in your towers, and that way you just don't have a key ring with a mess of Yakima keys. You don't know what goes to what. Just help yourself, save yourself the time, get them all key-alike to help you organize that. But in order to pop the tower cover on, we're just going to basically, it slides straight on and slightly up, and now it's locked into place, and our installation is complete. So that was a look at the Yakima TimberLine Roof Rack with JetStream crossbars on our 2025 Ford Bronco Sport. And if after watching this video you've still got some questions about it, or if you've purchased and used these and you've got some experiences to share, go ahead and leave those questions and those stories in the comments below. We would love to share those with other neighbors just like you so they can make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.